The present perfect tense is an important tense in English, but it gives the speakers of some languages a difficult time. That is because it uses concepts or ideas that do not exist in those languages. In fact, the structure of the present perfect is very simple. The problems come with the use of the tense. Hello everyone, I'm Omid from Phoenix English. Today we want to completely talk about the present perfect tense. Even if you're quite good at using the present perfect tense in English, it's definitely worth reviewing this tense. First thing, the grammatical structure. What does it look like? It looks like this. Subject, have or has, and your main verb in past participle form. Let's go into details. About the subject, you already know this. You can use a proper noun, George, Emily, or a pronoun, I, he, they. In the present perfect tense, the verb have is an auxiliary verb, and when my subject is third person singular, he, she, it, I use has as a helping verb. As I mentioned, they're helping verbs and not the main verb in the sentence, and they're usually contracted when spoken. I have becomes I've, you've, they've, we've, his, she's, its. Then comes the main verb in the present perfect tense. In the present perfect tense, the main verb is in past participle form, not in past simple form. Now, this is no problem for regular past tense verbs. For regular verbs, the past participle form is the same as the simple past, so you just need to add ed. Clean in the present simple tense becomes cleaned in the past simple, and it's also cleaned in past participle form. Work, worked, worked. Dance, danced, danced. Even some irregular verbs use the same verb for past simple as the past participle form. Teach in the present tense becomes taught in the simple past, and it's also taught as a past participle. Make, made, made. But for the most of the irregular verbs, things get a little more complicated because there are three different forms that you need to remember. Take in the present tense becomes took in the past simple, and in the past participle form, it's taken. Some more examples. Do, did, done. Speak, spoke, spoken. I'm sure you can think of many more examples, but with these verbs, there is no pattern. There is no rule to follow. You just need to memorize the past participle form. So, to use the present perfect tense well, you may need to polish up on some useful irregular English verbs and remind yourself about their past participle form. Okay, let's back to the structure. You have the subject, you have or has, and our past participle verb. I have lost my keys. They have flown to Barcelona to meet their friends. He has saved enough money to buy a car. As I mentioned, in present perfect structure, often have and has are contracted to v and s. I've lost. They've flown. He's saved. Okay, as a further practice, please make one positive example with present perfect. But what about negative forms? Of course, we need to add not to our sentence. Subject plus have or has plus not, and then our past participle verb. This month, I haven't cleaned my room at all. Again, see that this structure is usually contracted in spoken English. Haven't. This is the most common way to contract the negative form, but you may also hear people say, I've not cleaned my room. Both ways are acceptable. Another example, he hasn't eaten a lot today. Of course, you need to ask present perfect questions too, right? As with all English question forms, our auxiliary verb needs to change position. So we have and has, our subject, and our past participle verb. Has he cleaned the bathroom? Have you eaten enough? Have they finished yet? Now that we've covered important points about the structure, let's talk about the uses. When to use the present perfect tense. We can use present perfect to talk about something started in the past and continues in the present. Let's make some common examples of this situation. Somebody could say, I have worked here for 5 years. What does that mean? I started to work here 5 years ago and I still work here. Okay? I have lived here since 2012. Have lived. I started to live here in 2012 and I still live here. It's still true. It's still relevant. In this usage, we often use for and since with present perfect tense. We use for to talk about a period of time, 5 minutes, 2 weeks, 6 years, and we use since to talk about a point in past time. 9 o'clock, 1st January, Monday. Pay attention to these examples and then you'll understand the difference between for and since clearly. They've been married for 3 months. They've been married since September. As you see, for should always be used with a period of time, right? How long? And since is used with the point in time when something began. So let's suppose that they started living together in September. Now it's December, so we can say they've been married for 3 months. Now it's the end of December. Now, I want you to complete this sentence. They have been at the hotel March 2nd. Since or for, which one? Next, we can use it to talk about something that happened in the recent past. Means not very long ago, just a short time ago, maybe a minute ago. And it has some kind of effect or result now. Let's look at an example. Suppose your friend says, would you like to go for lunch? And you say, oh, that's too bad. I have just eaten lunch. Okay, I have eaten. The word just kind of emphasizes that recent part a little bit. I have eaten lunch, so what's the result? Well, I don't need to go for lunch again with you. Or for example, when someone says, wait, don't send that email. But you say, oh no, I've just sent the email. So we can use it like that. As you have understood, when we refer to an action that happened very recently, we normally use the word just with the present perfect. You can also use the present perfect to talk about an activity that you have done several times in the past and that you continue to do now. She has read many books and she'll probably read more. I have shopped here for many years. It means at different times over the years, I shop in that particular shop, store or mall or something else. It happened again and again. It was repetitive or a repeated action. And I may continue shopping here in present time as I'm still alive. Life experience is another situation that can be expressed by the help of the present perfect tense. I have seen that movie before. It's like saying, I have the experience of seeing that movie. You can also use this tense to say that you have never had a certain experience. He has never traveled by train. Now, before I give you some more examples, let's talk about when to use the past simple tense and the present perfect tense, because this is often the confusing part about this tense. To answer this question, you need to think about time, finished time and unfinished time. So think about last week. That's a good example of finished time. Last week is finished. It's over. But what about this week? Is this week finished? No, not yet. Now that I'm recording my voice, it's Wednesday, and there are still 4 days to the end of this week. That's an example of unfinished time. There's still more of this week to come. It's not finished yet. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 1995. These are all examples of finished time, time that is complete. When we are talking about a time period that has finished, like these, you need to use the past simple. But when you're talking about a time period that is unfinished, like today is not over, right? This week, this year, this month, use the present perfect tense. So let's compare some examples. Last month, I visited my brother 3 times. This month, I have visited my brother twice. But the month isn't finished yet, and I may visit him again. He took my cell phone yesterday. So this sentence is in the past simple. It's finished time. Now, try to change it to the present perfect yourself. You can use any unfinished time that you want. Another point which is really important to mention is the difference between been and gone when they're used with the present perfect tense. Been is a past participle of be. Gone is a past participle of go. We use been to describe completed visits. If you have visited a place on holiday and then returned, you have been there. If someone visits a place but has not come home yet, they have gone there. She's been to India on holiday 3 times. She has gone to Moscow. She will be back next week. This person hasn't come back home. And of course, when we ask someone about their past experiences, we use been, because now this person is in front of us when we are asking questions. They have come back. Have you ever been to Paris? By paying attention to what we mentioned, choose the correct option to complete the sentence. Where is Sally? I haven't seen her for a while. She is not here. She has to Canada. Okay everyone, I guess that we have covered everything about this tense. As soon as you start using the present perfect tense in conversation or in writing, immediately it's obvious to everyone that you are writing and communicating at a much higher level. Thanks very much for watching and all the best for your English.